Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Lygia here with some insights for 2024. Now, this is kind of an off-the-cuff reading or basically an off-the-cuff interview explanation of what I think is going to happen in 2024. I've been saying this to multiple numbers of people, and I thought, you know what, I better just kind of come out and just mention it to you guys because I've been really feeling strongly that 2024 is the very beginning of our movement into the next era, the great shift. And so some of my insights include, like, let's look at relationships. Relationships are going to be extremely dynamic at this time. We're going to be seeing, if we haven't seen already, a lot of people will be leaving their relationships, like romantic relationships. They'll be changing relationships. And in this form, we're also going to be seeing more and more people coming together in communities. So like-minded communities. Now I'm going to go just kind of off the cuff here and basically say what my ideas are. It may not be the same as anybody else's, but the powers that have been trying to control, they're going to continue to do what they do best, which is try to thwart our humanitarian or our humanitarian efforts, our compassionate efforts. What is going on right now with chaos in the world is, and when I talk about that, and I say this in my readings, but I'm talking about the wars. There are puppets and hands behind the wars. It's all monetary. It's all to do with politics. And in this case, what it's also doing, everything that they're doing, everything that the powers that are trying to control are doing, are also spurring our compassionate side. So 2024 is the very beginning of a huge heart opening, and everything that they're going to be doing. And like I said, this is going to create challenges, chaos, natural disasters that actually they're behind. Yes, I'm just saying, I'm laying it all out there. This is me and my views on this, that a lot of these things are going to be contrived, conspired by behind the scenes individuals and motives. And it's unfortunate, but I'd have to say that basically that is going to be always, it's going to spur the compassionate side of people, because we are compassionate beings on the inside. Every last one of us are. In fact, they are too. They're not going to say it because they've followed a different path. They're so far in the dark extreme that it's very difficult to come out of that. But they've got that compassionate side too. They're just not tapping into it ever. So, or in the past. One of the things I also want to say is that we are not unique when it comes to our evolutionary status of consciousness. We are also, again, my opinion, not, as a human species, we have lived on this planet a whole lot longer than is being told. Our history has been hijacked. And at this particular time, we're going to see in 2024 a lot of those truths about our history come out. If you haven't seen this, this is kind of like pretty much a no-brainer to think about how many discoveries they've had out there of ancient grounds, ancient beings, giants. These are all things that if these were not real, why were they there? Why are we finding them in this realm? Right? Okay, so questions to answer. Again, do your research, put everything together. What resonates with you? I was saying how the wars are politicized. It's for a totally different agenda. And it almost looks like in 2024, we're going to really become enlightened, aware of the us versus them. So our situation and the us side, the human side, the human species side, is going to see more and more of a growth of awareness and enlightenment because of the natural evolutionary consciousness that we're growing. This is a bridge. This year is a bridge to fostering more and more of the golden era. What does this mean? What does it look like? You know, for a lot of us, we're not actually seeing everything super clearly, because if we did, we'd probably mess it up. So what does that mean for us? A 5D or higher consciousness looks very similar to what we're seeing, but at the same time with very key differences. Um, Colors are different. What we see physically is different. When you close your eyes, you actually see more than you do when you open your eyes, your physical eyes. Does this mean that our body is changing? Hell yeah, our body is changing. We're becoming more and more crystalline. So we do have crystalline and divine DNA within us, and the cells are starting to activate. The parts within our DNA are starting to activate. No matter what has been placed in there, no matter what you have done to change things, you've worked hard. Everyone, you've worked so hard on your karma, getting rid of past problems or difficulties, transgressions that have been like ruminating on yourselves for a long period of time. I have said in my past readings that incarnations are all of the incarnations, and there's hundreds of them that we've been here. We've been on different planets as well. We've been in different dimensions, different things, places that probably are just mind-blowing to all of us. We've been to so many different places, and we're taking all the karma from all of those places and bringing it into this time period. And this is the interesting part. We have lived many millions, probably. I'd say at least hundreds of thousands of years. And why is that? Because there's been situational resets. The world has changed. The earth has had many different types of humans on here, and other worldlies. So ETs, if you want to call it that. Anything other than, basically anybody who's been on earth are called ETs, right? That's by definition. So we have had many different species of individuals on this planet. I think that there's been many different resets. One of them mostly known as the Great Flood. So I do believe that does, and there has been evidence, like physical evidence, that did happen. So we're going into a new era in 2024 as that bridge. And so during this time, we're going to see the powers that are trying to control really fight back. My opinion of what they are, what the situation is there. There's a huge ego, huge. And once you live too much into that ego part of yourself, you get lost. So it's important to actually, recognize that you have an ego, but not to live in it. And unfortunately, I think that's what's taken over their lives. So ego, and then for us as humanity, we're trying to make it by. We're in a humbled state, and meek, if you want to say the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, you know what, that I believe in that saying. I believe in that phrase. And I think what it just simply means is not that, you're a pushover, but you're somebody who stands strong. There's this new year is about resilience and strength, and building that strength even that much more than what we already have. I do believe that we've been born with strength, and it's the strength of the divine, strength of spirit, which also means to me that we are also going to be having to continue to bring in more efforts to protect ourselves, psychically. So always putting up energetic, psychic guards to help against any type of mind control or anything that can come into our plane of astral bodies, or basically our astral form, our magnetic field, because there's going to be more and more things that are out there that will be pushing against the grain with us. A lot of challenges, which will cause more emotional and mental stress. However, as we grow in awareness, as we grow evolutionary awareness and consciousness, we're going to find that it's as though it doesn't really phase us as much as you think that it would have, say, 10 years ago or 20 years ago. At this time, we're starting to become more and more resilient to what's there, which means that we're starting to also have peace within our hearts. And that's the new age. That's the 5D way of looking at things. If you think about what the sages looked like before, what the masters on this planet who would come and did a lot of work. They spread love and peace around them. that to me is actually what we're becoming, because we don't live in fear. And I would just encourage you, do whatever you can not to live in fear, because the fear is feeding the entity that the dark forces have within them, whether they're controlled themselves or they're not here and they're otherworldlies or whatever the case it is. I know for a fact that basically fear just feeds the dark side and the dark shadows within us. So get rid of fear. Try as hard as you can. Once you feel that you're going into fear, and especially right now, a lot of people are worried about the financial situation, the economical situation, because inflation also, or intentionally placed, inflation has been intentionally placed into the world again for political and financial gain and power. Um, this this time period for the finances, this is where that fear needs to drop 100%. Get rid of the lack from your body and your mind, because the financial situation is going to be changing like you change your underwear this year. It's going to be going in a totally different direction. So when you think you have a handle on it, just wait. It's going to be changing again. So, and it's only until the system is dropping, it's falling very hard, so that it can actually pick something up, pick up a different type of financial situation for us, where it's more, and this is the other thing too, decentralized. We're looking at eventually becoming decentralized, not centralized. So we're going to see more digital currencies coming out. Again, some of it is going to be not exactly what you think it is. And so this is something else to look at. Discern everything that you look at. That means just watch very carefully what you're watching on social media, on the news, and be very, do your own research on what you see out there, because more and more untruths, intentional illusionment is going to be thrown at you. And this is where you'll have to take your own, basically just do your own research and recognize that there's more and more things that are not quite what it seems. There's also talk of, you'll see in the news as well, there's a lot of talk of otherworldlies or ETs. And number one, if they really had a very bad intent for us, don't you think they would have actually done it already? Just saying, just something to think about. So what you see out there and what might be presented. Now, I also believe that technology is a whole lot higher than what it is made out to be. So AI, likely a lot more advanced than we think, and what is being sent out there, what is being pushed out there. In fact, in the last 2 years, I think, we've pretty much seen a huge increase in AI. And that's only just what we are being led to, like literally filtered out for us. There's probably at least 15 to 20 years more of technology that has been withheld, that is not actually coming out there. So knowing that, likely that that exists, then be very careful and always put up your energetic boundaries, of everything that you see. If they come out with a possible otherworldly event, I'm going to say it that way, then be very discerning to see where it's coming from. Um, just again, do your own homework with this kind of stuff, because it's important to know this. But these are the things that you could look forward to seeing in the near future. Now, I also put out a 6-month reading just recently, and so you can have a look at that from January to June 2024, and there's some pretty interesting highlights in there as well. What I do see between March and April of 2024, there's something, I believe something major is going to happen. It kind of coincides with, we have a solar eclipse as well in April, I believe in April. And it is, it, there's just some things that I'm seeing or feeling intuitively that, again, it's the powers that are trying to control it might actually just throw it out there, and we might have more blackouts, quote unquote. So be prepared for everything that they dish out. But at the same time, humanity is going to be pushing right back So it just, the light's going to be pushing right back against it. And even harder. So each time that they come out with an event or something comes out, humanity is going to be pushing back that much harder with that much more light and enlightenment. And every single time it's going to backfire on them because of the fact that we have the capability, we have the divine within us, and it's just growing. The solar energy is basically growing and growing, and you could see that with the major events that are happening. We've got X class flares as well as M class and C class flares, solar flares that are coming out, and we're subjected to all the particles that are being sent out. No matter what, what's up there to try and block it, we actually are doing that. It's an eventful thing in my opinion, and actually from what I'm getting with guides, as well as when I'm looking at YouTube and I find a bunch of different videos on this, that we're all kind of feeling as a collective that we've hit a threshold and beyond of where we are in our evolutionary consciousness status. We're just jettisoning upward. And you know what? This is another thing I want to mention about the time. Time seems to be going faster. Well, it's true to a degree. Time doesn't exist. It's man-made. It helps us to organize our days, our weeks, our months. But that in itself, like the calendar, is also hijacked. So what it was, say, hundreds of thousands of years ago, that what the Mayans and Incas and other ancient civilizations were following were more about the astrology. And don't kid yourself, the powers that are trying to control, they follow the astrology. If you notice about the events, this is something that I noticed as synchronicities. The events themselves follow the astrology. You'll see very much that there is a synchronization between the two. So just, take a look. Just like I said, my intuition. The past ancients have basically looked at a different calendar, and the calendar had, say, 13 months. They looked astrologically and astronomically at what was going on. So we have completely, in a lot of ways, we've kind of fallen away from it. But I believe that humanity in this time period, we're going to see a more motivation to move back into that. And that's that really following the stars, following the moon and the sun locations to do planting, electroculture coming back, and look that up. It's something I'm definitely looking into. More different types of therapies that I believe are going to be coming up, and that much more. Things that Nikola Tesla would have actually put out a long time ago is going to start to become more and more prevalent and just blossom this year, probably likely towards the end of the year, more so than at the very beginning. But it's going to have a nice little run. So what I see right now is that we are, say, as a horse, we're starting to run. And as we get to the middle of this year, we're going to start to have a slow gallop. And by the time that the end of this year comes up, we're going to basically be in a full-on galloping run when it comes to our spiritual development. And I think that that's pretty awesome. I also feel that spiritual symptoms, like physical symptoms, are happening as well. So some of these physical symptoms, and I've actually been feeling it too, it's like feeling like you're out of your body for even just a moment. It just feels like you're kind of raising outside your body and then coming back in. I don't know if anybody else has had this too. Comment below if you have, or if you've had any other symptoms. I'm very curious. Some of the other things that we might be having, I've had more headaches than I've ever had in the past when it comes to solar flares, being in tune with the weather and noting that when there's higher pressure or when a low pressure system is moving in or out, I find that I'm basically getting headaches or feeling loopy and just kind of strange. So we are also starting to become more attuned with Earth. And yeah, Earth and every other solar body that's out there has a consciousness. We are becoming more and more one and aligned with Mother Earth, and as such, we tend to take our relationships and what we're doing, our incarnations that we've had here. We are trying to resolve something, and every time we're resolving something, that energy, because everything is energy, including ourselves and our thoughts, our views, sound, everything is energy. It is being sent somewhere. So every time we resolve something, which is basically a karmic or experiential resolution, that goes into the grid of the earth. Now, the earth grid, think of ley lines, think of the energy grids or energy chakras, because the earth has chakras too, of the earth. Look these things up because they're really, really interesting to be reading about and where the chakras are in the earth. So yeah, it's basically anchoring our light and our resolution energies into the grid for forging the energy lines of the earth to raise. And that's what's brought us to now. That's why it's so iconic. Why is it so different? Well, that's why we haven't done this in all of the incarnations. From what I understand, we've gotten to this point. We've basically strived to get to this point, and finally we're here, and that's why we're here. That's why a lot of us believe that we are here for a whole greater purpose, that we're here for a totally different type of life as compared to what we were here before doing. So that's one of the things I wanted to mention too, is that it's a very important year. 2024 is that bridge to the newness. I believe between 2024 and 2026 is when things are really going to ramp up. I always kept saying that something's going to happen in 2024 through 2026, sometime in this time period. But when I look at the astrology as well, it is a very iconic time period where we're entering the stage or the age of Aquarius. So, and what does that mean? That means that basically we're going to see heightened technologies that are actually more for healing and for benefit, for humanitarian benefit, and not with like ill intentions. So looking towards this positivity, a unity consciousness, that means all is one. Why do you think you have this idea that maybe somebody is going to call you and all of a sudden they do, or they somehow, contact you by text or email or something like this, but you get a hold of them? You're starting to become more telepathic. So telepathy is big. Sound and vibrational healing is going to become very big. Color healing it's already starting. All of these therapies are starting, and it's not new either. It's just bringing it back. We have a wisdom within us that is from ages past, where we have had incarnations, and I'd say even future incarnations of different realities. We're bringing it to the fore. All of these, the wisdom from this, we're creating a reality that is more aligned with oneness, which also brings back the real otherworldly individuals to help us. So we may call them angels and guides. There's also ETs. There's so many different individuals, and again, it all depends on what you believe, what resonates with you. But for me, I've always believed in angels and archangels, and whether they're, by definition, they're ETs because they're extraterrestrial. They're not living on Earth as per se. They're in a higher vibration. They're in a higher dimension, and we're going to be getting there. And in 2024, we're going to find, like I was saying about symptoms, we're going to feel different, like unexplainably different, and in such a way that we really can't verbalize. So, um, going on, I'm kind of jumping everywhere. I apologize, but basically, there's the thought that everything in our bodies, our cells, are releasing toxicities. So when you release toxicities, what happens? You might have skin eruptions. You might have pains or different feelings here and there, some emotional outbursts that you don't expect, especially when it comes to full and new moons and certain solar flares and so forth, or events that might happen that will trigger and align with the bursting energy that is happening within you. We're becoming more aligned with the energies around us, which also is part of the unity consciousness. We are becoming one. So, like I said about telepathy, we're going to see some difficulties, I think, in in the flight transportation, so air transportation. I don't know what I'm getting with that, but basically there might be some interruptions with air transportation, which also affords us the ability to start, and some will be starting to teleport. And so I know it sounds crazy, but hey, you know what? We are moving into an age where we've never felt or seen this before. Guaranteed, though, there are technologies out there that we don't know about that already have this going on. Just saying. So, anyways, this is just a little bit of a tidbit of what's going on. And between now and the end of the year, I believe that once again, you're going to see yourself in December 2024 totally different than what you are and who you are from January 2024. So, looking at it, we're definitely moving ahead, financially and economically, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally. You're going to start to feel more abundant. And if you haven't, seek out somebody who does and talk with them. Just enjoy being in their company. The abundance is there. The abundance is for us. And we're going to find that we are very abundant. The more you acknowledge that, and you accept gratitude for it, for the abundance, for the even the abundance of experiences that you've had where you can let go of certain, karma, that you can let go of things and forgive, or because we can't really forget, you just forgive, let go, accept. If we're in a state, we're going to see a lot of people that are actually going to exit as well. They're exiting at this time. And why are they exiting? Well, it's the time. Vibrationally, some people are um going to be kind of leaving this plane of existence at different times. Some might just disappear. Just saying, their vibration will get so high that they just blip out. um, but there are people that we know that will cross over, and their whole idea, I honestly feel so happy for them. I mean, there's grief, of course, but I feel happy for them because they decided to leave at this time. They're going on to a better place of a higher vibration. And note to self, they are not gone. Physically, they might be not in our plane of sight, but they're there, because energy can neither be destroyed or created at this time. It's basically a transmutation. It's a transference, a change or transition from one state to another, just like water. Basically, we're changing. We're just changing on a different vibrational level, and we're going to see more and more of that month to month in January. We're going to find that the financials, like I said, money is not going to be the same for us anymore. We're looking at it. We still have to live, so we still have to bring in an income until things change to a point where it's not going to be the same. But we're also going to be the ones to forge that change, to make it so that it is more on unity consciousness level. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of changes happening this year. This is the transformative year, and you will see changes. Mark my words, you will see changes month to month like you've never seen before. So if you thought that the last 3 years have been extremely jarring when it comes to changes, just wait for it. Just accept that change is the new normal, and you'll be okay. Accept love. Just be able to accept love, share the love that you have, the compassion that you have with others who are either denying it or just not accepting it for themselves or for others at this time. They're going to need some help. We're going to need to help people through this, because it isn't going to be very easy. It's going to be challenging, but that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And we're in it together. And I am so grateful for being here with you, because being here alone would be very difficult. So, anyways, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a tidbit here of what my ideas are. And I might have a little bit more to come once things start kind of happening within the new year. But I want to wish you the best new year, and take the time to find joy and play as a child, seeing things from a childlike view in this year, because everything is going to be completely new. It's just like a child learning. We're going to be learning as we go along. So have yourself a wonderful new new year and the first 6 months coming up in 2024, make sure to celebrate every year that we're still here, because every year is going to be different and a whole lot better than the year prior in many different forms. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye for now.